One, two, three.
Welcome to the Smartest Amazon Seller. I'm Scott Needham. Super excited today. We have an in-house guest, actually two guests that have flown to the Smart Scout headquarters in small town Logan, Utah. But thank you guys so much for flying out.
Thank you for having us.
I have with me, everyone calls you Kaj, but
Kaj,
it's Cajua.
Cajua. Yes.
Oh, see, I already got it wrong.
No, you're good.
And Josh.
Yep.
You guys are hosts of the Ecom Unlimited podcast, and you've done my favorite thing that happens in e-commerce when people transition business models. It's the best. It's the most interesting because it tells the truth of the strengths and weaknesses of like why you move around. And in those, it's like, okay, we got to take the insights from one business to the next. So, take us a little bit, and your transition was started private label.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now doing more brand direct.
Correct.
And then a whole messy middle.
Yep. I would say it's still messy now.
A whole messy. Okay. Well, how did you begin? You know, tell me, like, you know, give us like the fun, like good start that, like, you know, all of us have to experience at some point. And
Yeah.
like yours was a good story. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I kind of started with like listening to a lot of like Gary Vee. So I was looking for eBay flips all the time. Me and Kaja, we had a prior business that we started that we ended up closing out
In high school.
In high
Just way
school,
back.
and you know, turning into college, we were just looking for something new, and so I knew I had the ability to make a little bit of money flipping on Amazon, or I meant on eBay, but I really wanted something a little bit different. So hopped on YouTube. I kind of went down the rabbit hole of different side hustles, you know, whether it was like drop shipping, that was one. And then I saw a private label and I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. Like I would love to create my own brand because I think I've always gravitated towards that. And so
this is like 2018.
17.
17.
17, yeah.
So I think it was Tanner Fox's YouTube channel that I ended up kind of landing on. He was kind of hitting some cool bullet points of like what it means to be a private label. And so I sent it to Kaj. I was like, hey, I think we could totally do this.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a little bit, we learned a lot and we kind of ended up launching our first product, which was a pocket blanket. And it was funny because he had specific search criteria and everything that we used. And I'm pretty sure everybody on the course just used that same criteria. Unfortunately, everybody ended up making the same product based off that criteria.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we learned on like really early. We were like, oh, okay, this is more than just potentially just, you know, hitting a certain criteria. Like we have to be a little bit more creative. And so we really kind of took a step back because we didn't have a lot of capital. And so capital was a little bit of an issue kind of getting started. So we were like, all right, we're going to give it one more shot. I think we took like 8 months to do, you know, additional product research. Like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I was studying biology and in college. And so we ended up kind of coming across what they call like a bat box, which is basically a home for bats. Yeah. And people want this to, you know, mosquito control and all that sort of stuff. And so I saw there was a little bit of a design flaw. Light was getting into the boxes in certain directions and bats like caves. They don't like light. So we kind of closed those lights off. And we kind of ordered the sample. It came in wrong. So gladly, we know we ordered a sample. That was one thing, you know, if you're starting private label. Yeah. So we went back and like, hey, this is like not even close to what we wanted.
A lot of samples.
He gave us another sample and it was the right one. So we're like, okay, let's launch. And this was a little bit different launch than what we did prior because we launched the first time, no sales. We were like, we don't know what's going on. Did we do something wrong? Is it not live? Like no one was buying. Well, we didn't really finish the listing. We were kind of late on finishing the listing, which is kind of, you know, we went through the whole creating a listing process again, which will benefit us later on.
Yeah.
But we weren't even finished and we started selling and we were like, oh snap, like this is way different.
I think I want to say inventory was checking in. I don't even think inventory was live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like when, unfortunately, you know, 2020, COVID happened. A lot of people weren't able to get like replenishes into like the Amazon or into Amazon. And we were like, it was like the last week or so to get stuff in Amazon. And we were able to get our first shipment in.
Okay.
Which was super nice. And so we were able to sell through that really quick. And then shipping, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that kind of happened in that realm. And if we knew we wanted to succeed, we needed a lot of capital. And that's something that we just didn't have at the time.
So we were bootstrapping.
Yeah,
We funded it ourselves.
Yeah, we were bootstrapping, and we didn't. Me and Kaj don't like to take a ton of risk if we know it's not
No.
going to like to work.
Yeah.
Especially like we're both in college. I'm not trying to like tank
Yeah.
my,
Right.
like the, for that's a lot of risk, especially
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
Paying for college and everything
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So then we kind of transitioned into more of retail arbitrage.
Yep.
We kind of,
When did that happen? Like when did you do your first retail arbitrage? Like mid 2020?
I was gonna
it had to be, 'cause we
probably
got
towards
the-
the end, but also like, and you finished the story, but Josh had always kind of been doing like flips on the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So retail arbitrage kind of came like really, it became really easy. And I remember walking into, this is like one of my first big flips that I found. Walked in Goodwill, everyone was talking about books, and I saw this book, and it was basically if you wanted to build the Mayflower, you could basically do it with this book. And I'm like flipping through these pages, like this is actually really cool. Like I'm not into that stuff at all, but I scan it. I was like, whatever, I'll scan it. $100. And I see, like, the $1 price tag that Goodwill usually gives. And I was like, wow, it's like, I just made $100. And then I looked up and there was like 7 more books. And I was like, with like all like the same cover, like different ships that you could build. So I just remember just grabbing all of them and just, having the feeling of like, my gosh, I just made like $700 in like 20 minutes at like a Goodwill. So that was like the kind of like the start.
And they sold?
Yeah, and they sold. Some of them sold like pretty quickly, but then some of the other ones lagged behind. So I think they all sold in like 4 months though. So which was kind of cool. And that was like really like proof of concept behind the private label that we experienced. That's like, okay, we know private label works, but we don't know if like other stuff works. And so that's kind of like where I saw, yeah.
Then obviously online arbitrage, a little bit easier, a little bit different.
100%.
And then wholesale.
Yep.
This is like distributor
Yes.
or
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what was that, 2022, 23?
Yeah. The retail arbitrage and online arbitrage was mainly 21 through 22, and then 2023 is when we started like focusing wholesale. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we were just talking recently about, what you did just like a month or two ago. You went to Expo West.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've kind of flipped a little bit more. You've transitioned into just
Yes.
working directly with brands.
Correct. Yeah. And so, like, kind of continuing the story quickly. So we did the retail arbitrage. We knew that wasn't scalable just because of the time going to stores, even though it was profitable. Why we did online arbitrage, and then online arbitrage, so I'm kind of like the ops guy, and I just hate it not being able to just buy the same thing all the time. I'm like, we did all this work to find this product. There, we can sell 10 units, and then it's gone. Like that just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the butt. It was also a pain because we were doing our prep in-house, and it was a pain. So that's why we knew we wanted to get into wholesale to kind of solve that issue with online arbitrage. And then once we got into wholesale, started off really well, had a few strong distributor accounts, also bought some gray market stuff. Like we knew it was gray market, but we didn't really understand how much of the problem that would be with Amazon.
Yeah.
And then that kind of coincided with Amazon starting to get tighter on supply chain.
For sure.
Yep. And so as we ran into some issues, thankfully nothing like major. There were issues that we were able to solve, but the writing was very clearly on the wall. And I was like, okay, either we are going to work directly with brands and do this the right way, or we're just like wholesale, it's a sinking ship the way we were doing it.
Yeah.
And because of the private label, like we felt very comfortable being able to tell a brand like, hey, like if you work with us, we can actually improve your presence on Amazon. Because like, not to say we were the biggest private label sellers ever,
No.
but like we ordered multiple containers from China. We've sold through profitably. We understand ACOS, we understand TACOS, we understand, all that stuff. So yeah, that's why we decided to kind of go towards the brand direct model, specifically trying to get exclusives. And like you said, there's a messy middle, but we feel like it's all really led to this model, and we don't really see ourselves trying to shift models again anytime soon. We've done enough shifting gears.
Now we have like the top dogs like Pattern and, and plenty like them that are actually pretty sophisticated at finding brands, talking to them, selling them this, Amazon exclusive
accelerator.
range. Accelerator. And you guys are doing this and probably working with what I would guess are just like smaller brands.
We focus on the smaller brands.
I think you'll hear like some of them won't even touch a brand that's
Oh,
less
yeah,
than 5 million.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
what about those that are doing 1 million? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that doesn't
Exactly.
sound that bad.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. And
So
it's funny that you say that because like as we learned that about pattern, because some of like our colleagues have also talked with them too about like figuring out if there's a way for us to work with that kind of accelerator. But you start to, as you do research using Smart Scout, like we spend a lot of our time in the brands filter, and I start to notice the trends of like, okay, this accelerator seems to show up with brands of this size. This accelerator seems to show up with brands of this size. Like, I'm not going to be able to steal a brand from that guy. Let me try and find brands in this sliver of the market where, maybe they're falling through the cracks of some of the bigger guys and we can kind of scoop them up.
okay.
Yeah.
So okay, well, like I think with the accelerator model, like your category matters, like which one you choose. It's like you could theoretically be category agnostic, but you won't know what they think. You won't know like what their adjacent categories. You don't know their competitors. It's kind of helpful to like just have all these like extra insights. And so, actually, I don't think I've talked too much about Expo West, but
Sure.
I've never been.
This was my first time.
And I've decided I'm actually the perfect candidate to go because as I've hit my dad era of life, I don't get out as much, but I'm like, oh, I'm going to like, oh, there's a new candy on Amazon. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like this and it's got like this benefit. Like my wife hates how much random stuff that I buy. And then I come and look at Expo West. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's like rooms full of just like new
chips. I was I was blown away by the amount of chip brands.
Really?
And no knock on anyone launching a chip brand. Like, do your thing. But like, I was like, how many people think that their chip is going to change the world? I was like, there's a lot of chips. And some of them were very delicious, but not great to sell on Amazon due to packaging.
Yes. And so, I mean, I would love just to be in that room, just to kind of like, just talk with like people living their dream, like really just to get to that point, to have a booth, to have a product in a package, that's a grocery product. Like, not easy.
Not easy at all. Mad respect. But yeah, it was a great time. It was massive. I was blown away by the size. It was so big. And yeah, so much opportunity for people that are doing what we're doing, or whether it's just a brand trying to launch and get into more brick and mortar stores, or, for a SaaS company looking to work with brands like that. It's so tons of opportunity.
The thing is I did brand direct stuff 10 years ago and a lot has changed.
Yeah.
Most people's awareness, like let's say they're at scale, they know their Amazon strategy.
Yes.
It's not a guess, but like, I guess there's still new entrants.
Yes.
How does your pitch get received?
Yeah, it depends. So we try to target brands where we can already see an obvious pain point.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just about, okay, like, is this brand selling well? Great, I want to sell it. It's like, does the brand have a pain point that we know how to solve? And so those pain points are normally going to be either supply chain control. Often they're just not aware of it and they're not keeping track of their distributors. Listings that aren't optimized. We run into that a lot. Or sometimes even brands, like we see them on Amazon and we reach out to them and they don't even know their brand is on Amazon. Like, that's the best one. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine putting so much effort into building a brand and like not knowing like where it's actually being sold and how like that. Like, that's just crazy to me because like, I don't know, the stuff that I run, I like to know everything.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are brands like that, which is crazy, but they do exist.
And so it sounds like you've got an insight. There's a reason you're talking to them. You know who you're talking to and why.
Yep.
And what's the likelihood, or what's like some of the objections that people bring up, or like maybe they know they have a problem,
Right.
but they're like, we can't fix this.
Yeah. So the most common objection is just going to be, we don't work with Amazon sellers. But then the real magic is trying to figure out why they don't work with Amazon sellers. Normally it's because They've worked with, Amazon people who are just doing wholesale distribution in the past, who just want to buy and resell, who don't actually care about the brand. Or, they work with Amazon sellers that were unprofessional, where, they placed a purchase order, the brand got the order ready, the payment never came, that sort of thing. Or they're just getting bombarded by a lot of Amazon sellers because for whatever reason, their brand is attractive for Amazon sellers to, try and buy and resell. So trying to figure out why they don't want to work with Amazon sellers. And then from there, it just goes into the sales process. So it's building trust, trying to, explain to them how you can actually help them. And you're not just trying to, take a piece of the pie.
I've got an idea for you. I just heard it yesterday. Okay. You go to Expo West with for the 10 top prospects, you've got a cake for each of them. And on the cake is printed your pitch.
Awesome.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. They would not forget us. They would not forget us.
Because you have to stand out in a crowded room.
Yeah.
And you have to build a relationship.
Yep.
And we know there's going to be an objection.
Yes.
And even, you may not get there's no way you're getting a deal in the first conversation.
No. And if you do, that's probably a red flag.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
And so, make your, shoot your shot. If you got 10 that matter.
Yeah.
That's just I've heard this cake as a service.
Interesting.
So
I love that.
That's probably the high the high agency way of going at it.
Yeah.
There's probably 10 other ways you can. That might be a little bit less messy, a little bit less a little more summer friendly.
Yeah.
But
and also timing is really important too.
Yeah.
Especially for us, we like to try and push for an exclusive relationship, which you're not going to get that at the beginning, but over time, that's the goal for us. But I have one story that I like to tell where one of my friends, there was a brand that he wanted to work with for a long time. He kept following up with them, I want to say for at least a year. And eventually one time he reached out to them, and it was when Amazon was doing the ID verification, whichever law was that came out. Do you remember what that act was called?
I don't know.
It was 2 years ago. But
Yeah.
you had to do additional ID verification. And for whatever reason, no one at the company wanted to put in their information to verify the brand, the selling account on Amazon so that they could keep selling. So they actually were just going to completely shut down Amazon. Very weird, very niche. But the dude was like, oh, well, my account's verified. I'll just buy it and sell on my account. And they were like, okay. And so it's you never know what the timing is or what the real reason is going to be to get them. So a lot of it is just going to be, following up.
These are very long sales cycles
Yeah.
and touch points if you want to actually think of it as a sales discipline. But
Right.
the truth of the matter is, sometimes let's say they're a good opportunity. Sometimes they're in market and sometimes they're not in market.
Mm-hmm.
It's I can advertise Smart Scout a million ways.
Right.
But if someone's not in market,
Right.
the conversation's not going to go too far.
Yep.
But then there's that 1 week where someone has a pain point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're I have to know this because my boss wants to know
Yep.
this and this, and then all of a sudden it's just
And
everything
then it
gets
clicks.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it clicks.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is sometimes you can try to convince a brand owner, be this is a pain point, and it's this is why things are happening. People are buying, and then for 3 months, and then people won't buy again for a while, and it's because everybody's on Amazon, and the listing's not selling enough.
Right.
And it's let's just switch so that we will consistently buy over time.
Right.
And they're no, and then 6 months down the road, we'll continue to message them and continue to kind of educate them, and then finally they're yes, fine, we'll just do it. And man, they just sort of just oh my gosh, I didn't realize how big of a problem this was until it's actually solved, and they can kind of get a couple orders under their belt to understand consistency is so much easier to manage versus massive orders here, massive orders there.
Yeah.
Especially for smaller brands that just don't have that kind of productivity in terms of being able to hold a lot of inventory at once.
this is this is a question I didn't expect. So Expo West, the brands that are showing up there, they probably have an idea of how they want to grow.
Some of them.
Okay.
Well, or at least most of them want to grow because they're there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're is it mainly retail? They're looking for I want a retail buyer to come through and just place a PO and
I would
be
say
in 20 stores.
Yeah, I would say most of them probably are looking for those retail buyers.
Yeah.
And then they're also the niche of like the newly launched brands that I think we were talking about this the other day, like the little Shark Tank setup that they have.
Yeah.
The newly launched brands that are also looking for investors. I would say there's that group as well. Yeah.
Okay. And so Amazon's not their first. Well, I mean, let's just say like for most of the players in that building, they're not Amazon first brands. Are they D2C?
I would say most of them are going to be D2C.
Okay.
The bigger ones are going to, like you said, know their Amazon strategy or already be working with a Pattern who has a booth there, or one of the other big accelerators who's going to have a
Or
booth
they're
as well.
or they're
Yeah.
like they control their own channel. Maybe they
Right.
use an agency.
Yep, or it's in house at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then like there was one brand that I talked to, newer launch brand within the last year, doing well in their D2C. And it wasn't even one that I wanted to talk to, but they like, everyone's trying to get out their samples, so they like flagged me down, gave me a sample. I talked with them. And then they just like, because I was just asking them questions about their brand just out of curiosity. And then they asked me, they're like, oh, so what do you do? And then I, explained to them what I do. And they're like, oh my gosh, we've been trying to figure out Amazon for so long. I have no idea how it works. And I was like, well, you're talking to the right guy. So that happens too. And that's the beauty of trade
It's
shows.
so funny. That's like Amazon's complexity, or just like, I mean, it's like easy hard, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like, in some ways it's very easy. It just
Yeah.
works. But like when it breaks, like
When it breaks, it breaks.
yeah. And like that setup makes like,
Yeah.
creates that pain point.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that we've found kind of like as we've done outreach on like, in different sizes of brands, like the smaller brands, they are often the ones that can't afford an agency and don't have the bandwidth to do it in-house. So just from an operational perspective, working with someone like us who buys wholesale, sells at retails, and manages everything else just makes a lot of sense for them.
I love that. Okay, you've convinced me. Next Expo West, I'm going to put a digital billboard on a truck. And
Oh, let's do it.
we're gonna go around in circles around that building.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, there's something about the it's a good category.
It really is.
One of the best categories.
Yeah.
Because just the consumables, it's very, I'm not sure if I maybe have overhit it on my podcast, but like, I like categories where it's like, hey, U.S. brands competing against U.S. brands. It's kind of like it's like survival of the fittest. It's exciting, up and coming. It's trends driven. It's it's all the crazy things. So I don't know. I've got to get to Expo West.
You do. It's a good time. It's a good time. And I'll plan on going again. Hopefully we'll get you out there too. So there's always a crew of Amazon.
But I was mainly like using that just because I wanted to fully understand, like, and you did a great job of explaining like the value prop for a small Amazon professional accelerator wholesale brand, or whatever we want to call it.
All
like,
of the above.
Like it's interesting
Yeah.
to see how that's evolved.
Yep.
And that some of the things are still the same as they were 10 years ago. Some of these are different.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I think the Amazon marketplace is probably like 7 or 8 times bigger than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about this. Yeah.
It compounds every year.
It does.
So I mean, I was excited 10 years ago.
I know, and we're still excited too. I feel like we're the most excited.
No.
I know.
What's interesting is like some people aren't as excited.
Yeah.
Like they lose. And I'm like, whatever you were feeling, like the pie is actually bigger now.
Right.
So I'm not sure like what, new information you got
Right.
that, I don't know, made you think that.
Well, I feel like part of it too, which is like kind of sad because I don't like to see sellers, especially ones that we know, exiting the space.
Yeah.
But there is a real tangible feeling, at least in like our corner of the Amazon niche, where it's like, all right, there are a lot of people who are exiting, which is kind of just, there's more opportunity for the rest of us because fewer sellers are entering, some sellers are leaving, and
we're just
the marketplace is growing.
Yeah, which is like super weird because you'd think like a growing marketplace, everyone would be, flourishing more, and you'd gain volume as things go on. But
what it takes to win is you need a few more skills.
Yeah,
it's true.
And I mean, for being honest, like this podcast, like my awareness of some of these skills was like close to zero. And now I've like had a chance to like, at least I have an awareness of like the skills.
Yeah.
I think the first time I brought in a guy that could talk about like Amazon photography, I was like, whoa, no way. You could do this. Like, okay, let's hire a photographer in-house. And then just to see that play out to now, like photography, like I think most people think like, let's just use AI, guys. Come on, like let's not overthink it. I mean, you absolutely can do that and probably should follow some sort of framework. But so you're still excited. What's and how long have you been doing this brand direct, and how do you feel like, like talk to me through this next year?
Yeah. So started wholesale 2023, which that was just wholesale through distribution, and then pretty much started focusing on brand direct at the end of 2023.
Yeah.
So it's been, I guess, what's that, 2.5 years, 3 years,
Yeah.
around there. Yeah. I think the longer I've been doing it, especially for me personally, I would actually say that going to trade shows consistently is what keeps me excited, because every time I go to a trade show, they're just more. We were talking about this the other day, I think over dinner. Like, all I do all day is like look at brands, and I'm still like, they're billion-dollar brands in the US that I have no idea that they exist.
Yeah.
And like, how many smaller brands are like that? And the more I go to trade shows and I like just stumble across a brand where I'm like, that would be a really cool brand to work with one day. I'm like, okay, the marketplace is growing, new brands are entering, there's still so much opportunity. I think when you stay like in your own little corner and maybe you're not involved in a community or listening to podcasts, or have someone to talk about, it can feel like the market's shrinking.
Yeah.
But then when you go to events and you go to trade shows and you're like, okay, like there's so much opportunity.
Yeah, there's some beating hearts still. So speaking of community, like you guys have been involved. There's one that like, I mean, definitely has that community vibe.
Yeah.
And like I keep hearing it. It's just the wholesale network.
Yep. Yeah.
What is it? I mean, I probably talked about it on the podcast, but like,
Sure.
I guess that has my attention more now because
Okay.
I'm like, oh, there's some staying power to this.
Yeah. So it's been around for what? When did we join that with Corey? 3 years ago now?
Yeah,
Almost?
it has to be.
Yeah. So it's a community specifically for Amazon wholesalers, and what it kind of evolved over the last couple of years, almost like with our trend as well, is now we really just focus on teaching people who want to learn how to do brand direct. So a lot of the people who are inside of the community are people who had a lot of success with online arbitrage, but kind of similar to us, like the writing on the wall in terms of either supply chain or the scalability. They want to learn brand direct. And so then they join our community to learn that. And we also have some people who've been in it kind of the whole time, almost as like a mastermind group. It's like, okay, let's just get a bunch of people in the same community, who've been selling for like 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it is, just to talk Amazon consistently, share ideas, what's working, all those struggles. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And even though I've kind of been like helping to run it for pretty much the whole time, like I've learned just as much as I've taught in there. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, how can people so I know you guys have a podcast, you've worked on it for quite some time. Tell me about that. Where can people find it?
I was gonna say, if you want to, on YouTube, Ecom Unlimited, that's where you would go. We've talked, so Dude Wipes was like our really big podcast that we did. He's basically the guy who did Amazon for Dude Wipes. That was a really good episode.
Yeah,
so that was one of our
definitely
highlights recently. But just come check us out and just continue to learn more about Amazon.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming to Logan. Thank you for enduring some of the spring weather that came your way. It turns out there's the spring snow in there a little bit.
There was, we got a snowstorm.
And that's the pod, Ecom Unlimited. All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, see ya.
1, 2, 3.